Welcome to another movie plot and enjoy the memories. We open in the past with a soccer star berating his teammate for offering him a check to lose the game. Fung is known as the golden leg and has it tattooed on his abdomen but still takes the check because he needs the money. The second best player in Fung's foot rest Hung has set this up so that when he throws the game spectators rush the field in anger and break his leg. 20 years later Hung is now the owner of the most powerful football team in the league while Fung has a limp and a bloated tattoo. He's mistreated in the hopes of one day becoming the team's coach, but while he waits has become a poor alcoholic who wanders the streets. One day Fung comes across a random beggar on the street who turns out to be a Shaolin Kung Fu master named Sing. He wants to promote the practical benefits of Kung Fu, but his master taught him not to fight, so he needs another way to package it to the public. They watch a woman slip on a banana peel who wouldn't have if she knew Kung Fu and instead would have just glided across the air. A woman who wouldn't be having trouble parking and could use the Buddhist palm technique if she only knew Kung Fu. And a hedge trimmer who wouldn't be fired if he had the ability to fly through the air like somebody who knew Kung Fu. Fung doesn't care, so he throws a can at Sing, but he kicks it into orbit before collecting his trash and leaving. All of these bags are only worth 20 cents, which he brings to the nearest pork bun store run by the acne-covered Moi. She uses Tai Chi to make the food, so Sing busts out into an appreciation song about her abilities while eating twice the amount of buns than he can afford. To make up for it, he gives her the old pair of shoes that he's currently wearing, then everyone busts out into a random flash mob. The public catches a buzz from all the Kung Fu in the air and channels it into joining in on the choreographed dance number. It ends when the shop owner comes out screaming and takes it out on Moi while Sing steals another bun and runs off barefoot. The flash mob gave him the idea to visit his Shaolin brother Iron Head, who specializes in headbutts but is currently employed as a waiter. He asks his boss if he could do a Kung Fu inspired musical and gets bottled every time this guy disproves. They still go through with the performance, so he readies another, but Sing is hit in the head by a completely different bottle. It was thrown by some thugs who simply don't like their music and begin beating on the entertainers who have vowed never to fight. They get the styles backwards, so kneecap Iron Head while bludgeoning steel leg Sing until he's finally had enough. Outside, Fung is pissing on a wall when recognizing the tin can that Sing booted past his head miles away from where they met. He pulls it out of a wall and the whole thing collapses, revealing Sing and the thugs about to throw down. Since he never uses Kung Fu for fighting, Sing uses it to play soccer instead, and the thugs happen to merely be in the way. Steel leg winds it up like a golf club and turns his bullies into a pinball machine, so the last praying mantis looking fighter just hands over all his money. Fung is amazed at the power of Sing's legs, so he offers to coach him, and since it'll make for a good way to promote Kung Fu, he agrees. First he needs to retrieve his shoes from Moi, who's repaired them to the best of her abilities, so Sing promises to pay her back. He goes around asking his former Shaolin brothers to join his team, beginning with Empty Hand, who's been unemployed for 6 months. Empty thought this was a job offering and got all dressed up for nothing, so slams the door in the pair's face and says he'll think about it. Next is Iron Head, who looks like he's being attacked by a land shark, but it's just Sing asking him to help with the team. This broken man begs Sing to leave him alone because all of their endeavors end with him getting beaten or demoted. One of their Shaolin brothers is a successful businessman called Iron Shirt, but he's busy and has no time for childish games. He says he'll only do it if a coin flip lands on the impossible side, but Sing tries to steal his money, so is chased off and doesn't get to see the result. Next is Weight Vest, who is known as Small Brother and was once capable of leaping incredible heights, but is now employed as a store clerk and eats his weight in chips daily while being unable to jump a foot off the ground. Finally, Hooking Leg is a dishwasher whose depression is tied to his hair loss and threatens to kill our pair for having such luxurious locks. Having all rejected the initial offer, they all think back on the old days and how they'd all rather be using their Kung Fu. The team comes together in slow motion on a rooftop with wind dramatically blowing scarves, robes and comb-overs alike. However, none of these people actually know how to play soccer, so they all just stomp the life out of the ball until Sing kicks it into the air. Now they have to wait around for an hour until it comes back down before being able to start the real training with basics for dummies. Sing learns to be gentle enough that he can juggle an egg with his feet while at the same time being able to demolish walls from half a mile away. Team Shaolin's first match comes against Team Rebellion, whose nerdy leader is known for cheating and brings weapons into the game. They pretend like it's going to be a friendly match, but then proceed to spend the whole thing brutally beating on the Kung Fu masters. The game turns into a literal war zone as Sing crawls across the battlefield watching his brothers get pulverized into the dirt. They try to surrender with underwear as a white flag, but Fung says that soccer is war and if Sing doesn't win he'll have no chance against the professionals. Hung's team Evil, for example, are juiced up on experimental drugs and train underwater to make sure their kicks are as powerful as possible. When all seems lost, the Shaolin brothers suddenly reawaken their kung fu powers and all pose around the field in their unique styles. Iron Head we already know for having an immensely hard head that he can use as a weapon, but he also scores goals with headers during matches. The team's fullback hooking legs Shaolin skills resemble a style of fighting called ground tumbling boxing, which is basically breakdancing. Despite his size, the team's winger weight vest regains his ability to leap great distances, seemingly taking flight. Iron Shirt as the team's fullback can hold the ball with his stomach and absorbs blunt force without taking damage. He can also fire the ball with his abdomen, while the team's goalkeeper Empty Hands is incredibly fast and catches anything fired his way. Team Rebellion all fling their shoes at him, but he swipes them out of the air to use as a smelly shell for the ball and punches it back. Mighty Steel Leg kicks off the shell into the rebels' faces, but he still needs to practice his accuracy because he hits the pole with the ball. With that, the game is over and Singh's brothers appreciate him for awakening their kung fu, while their opponents beg them to show them the way. Fung enters them into the National Super Cup tournament, where the winners take home $1 million and a fancy gold trophy. However, it's owned by Hung, who isn't going to let his old teammates sign up until seeing how hopeless his players look, and then even offers to pay for their entry. That night, Singh takes Moi to a high-end department store after hours and offers to buy her an expensive dress for fixing his shoes. He slaps the flies off her face and tells her that she should be more confident before taking over from the janitor, as a man still gotta eat. The next day, Team Shaolin enter the Open Cup competition with Empty Hand dressed in Bruce Lee's jumpsuit from Game of Death. Their opponents laugh at their appearance, but Singh scores goal after goal from the whistle blow without them even having a chance to react. They go on winning all of their matches into the finals with their kung fu powers in one-sided defeats with scores like 40 points to nothing. They begin getting sponsorships, but all they care about are the free shoes and interviews where Singh demonstrates Iron Head's ability to fly. One night, while the team is eating at her shop, Moi arrives with an over-the-top 80s-inspired makeover to try to impress Singh. Everyone asks if this is love, but Singh insists they're just friends, which upsets Moi, who would usually just let her boss beat on her. Instead, this time she stands up for herself and everyone's happy that she's playing it off, but she's still sad and it affects her work. One day, Singh is told she got fired because her buns were no longer sweet but salty from her tears falling into the dough. That's quite disgusting, and Team Shaolin's first real challenge comes in the semifinals against two mustachioed women who also soar through the air. However, they meet their match when trying to score a goal because Empty Hand easily deflects everything they kick at him. He then throws it across the field straight into the opponent's goal, which wins them the game and they advance to the grand final. Team Shaolin takes on Team Evil in front of a large crowded stadium for the trophy that Hung has won 5 years in a row. As the game starts, Singh captains his brothers across the field and it seems like they've got this. But for all the might that Steel Leg puts into his kick, the keeper catches the ball with one hand in his pocket. He tosses the ball back and Team Evil let the best striker take another shot, but the keeper catches it while crushing the crossbar with his hand. When Singh actually would have scored because he tricks the keeper with spin, he moves the goalpost because Hung paid off the referees. Throwing it the entire length of the field, he knocks Empty Hand off his feet, and it's now Bruce Lee's turn to show us what he's made of. Team Evil's striker sends an absolute torpedo that flings Hand back into the crossbar, but he plays it off like he isn't bleeding profusely. The next shot, however, is so intense that it burns off his gloves and leaves Empty Hand a sitting duck to be ragdolled on the follow-up. The keeper is carried away to the hospital in style while the rest of Team Shaolin play on and do everything they can to defend the goal. Team Evil has a player with a harder cranium than even Iron Head and another who can leap higher than even the big boy, so things aren't looking good. They've got two tumbling boxers who restrain hooking leg, while the rivalry between the strikers nearly spills over into an actual fight. Iron Shirt steps up as the team's goalkeeper and uses his ability to absorb blunt force to take a licking and keep on kicking. He's pelted with dozens of fireballs from all members of Team Evil until his clothes are charred and his face is busted up. Finally, one twists off Iron Shirt's cotton shirt and sends a shockwave straight through his chest, but he still prevents the goal. With too many players out injured, Team Shaolin must forfeit the match, so Moi has shaved her head to play goalkeeper. Not sure that's a requirement, and Singh says she looks like E.T., but either way she goes out there to take over as keeper. Unable to kick, she sends the ball straight to the opposition's striker, who puts all of the evil he can muster into a single kick. It creates a fireball hurling towards Moi, but she gracefully stops it with Tai Chi like she would do pots thrown at her while working. She combines her kung fu with Singh's mighty steel leg to create a horizontal tornado that barrels down the field. It carries Evil off their feet and completely shreds the clothes off their keeper before scoring the winning goal somewhere amongst the chaos. Singh passes out from all the effort he put in and wakes up being praised by the crowd and receiving the winning trophy. Hung takes a tumble down the stairs and sometime later is imprisoned for doping, while his players receive lifetime bans. Sing and Moi make Kung Fu popular, so now the banana lady remains on her feet when crossing her yellow adversary. People parallel park with the Buddhist palm technique, and the hedge trimmer keeps his job as Sing's lifelong goal is finally complete. And the movie ends.